London in the mid-90s was pretty amazing, like in terms of like just the amount of stuff that was going on. And I was just totally into the whole thing, you know. I was just like, went to loads of psytrance parties, went to start going to drum and bass parties in '96. Was completely obsessed with Andy C, like, and Groove Rider, to dubstep emerging between 2003 and 2007. And I was living in London then, and then I moved to Berlin in end of 2007. And then we started the Substance Party at Berghain in 2008, and that was, you know, like, I guess the kind of start of everything for me, and, you know, in a big way. You know, dubstep was its own little thing, and when it became big, it lost something for me. Like when the American guys and the Canadian guys got hold of it, and not all of them, but one or two in particular who I won't name, but. Yeah, they kind of, for me, it lost something. So I started playing upstairs in Panorama Bar, as well as Berghain, and there was a kind of, yeah, this kind of dubby house, UK funky thing going on, and that was, I guess, my kind of route into that stuff. Yeah, I mean, the present for me is I've really, I mean, I'm on a year off basically, which sounds weird because I just played a show, but the last 10 years I played between 100 and 120 shows a year, and this year I'm playing 15. So I really, like, at the end of last year I was kind of burnt out with it, just from the touring and the constant traveling, and like I felt like I needed a break. And like the current scene is it's a bit of a strange one. I was having a conversation with the promoter earlier, and everyone says the same thing now, which is that clubs are really struggling, but festivals are doing great, and there's so many festivals launching, and like there's this huge audience for festivals everywhere, which is kind of a, I understand like why this has happened completely. I think it's because of Instagram. I think it's basically because people want to be able to put their experiences on Instagram, and dark clubs don't really they don't really translate well to photos on on smartphones, which is kind of depressing when you think about it. But it is what it is, you know. And I always kind of think that, you know, if something changes, it's like, it's very easy just to be, oh, things used to be better in the past, you know. That's a very easy kind of old person's way of thinking about it. It's just how it is now, and you know, a good festival can be great. Like, I like clubs as well, and I really hope that clubs don't die completely. I think there's a bit of a danger at the moment. I mean, it's not just the Instagram thing, it's also because of what's happening in cities around the world with, you know, gentrification and rent prices going up all over. You know, every big city now has got a serious rent problem in the centre of town, and this is another really big problem for small clubs, and it's been like that for 10 years now. So I think it's in a bit of the dance scene generally, the electronic scene is it's a bit of a strange position. I don't think it's been like this before. I mean, a couple of years ago, I was thinking that it was becoming kind of oversaturated, kind of like what happened in the late 90s, in the run-up to the millennium. And, you know, what happened then was, you know, the big night that everyone had been looking forward to since the Summer of Love in '87 was, you know, a massive letdown, and promoters lost money, and it was this huge anticlimax. And it felt to me like maybe that was sort of happening again, but like I just don't know now, because it's become, you know, it seems on the one hand really quite positive. There's like the audience is huge, enormous now, and people are happy to, you know, pay pretty high ticket prices, which is great for the artists. But it feels slightly fragile, you know. It feels slightly precarious. Yeah, I mean, I think with the future, there's a number of ways it can go. I think the important thing to remember is that the next generation always rebels against the previous one. So I'm really interested to see how, you know, in 10 years' time, the extent to which social media has been rejected. I suspect that it probably will to an extent, but I don't know. And maybe it won't happen in the way we think, or the way that we want it to happen, or like old people want it to happen. I really hope that dark clubs come back. It's difficult to see how they can in the same way without some like kind of economic catastrophe. So like rents in inner cities like collapse again, which, you know, like the kind of conditions surrounding that probably wouldn't be that good, but it would be good for clubs. So I don't know. But musically for me, I think I'm more interested in what's going to happen with that side of things rather than the way people go out, because to me there hasn't really been anything new musically in electronic stuff for a long time now, and it feels like there's got to be some kind of movement sometime. Like going back to the dubstep stuff, it really felt like that was something new, and it really hadn't been done like that before. And to me, there hasn't really been anything like that since. And I'm kind of excited for that to happen again. But I just don't know when or where. I mean, the really cool thing about it now is that it's so global, so it could be any city in the world really that something like that happens. It doesn't have to be London or Berlin or wherever, or Paris or wherever. It could be Sao Paulo or, you know, Denver, or like, you know, just it could be, you know, anything, anywhere. So it's really exciting from that perspective, I think. But, you know, we'll just have to see what happens. I haven't got a clue.